Non-binary elephant
podcast. Hello everybody and welcome to the Non-Binary Elephant podcast. I'm Jamie Icke. Joining me,
Gareth Icke.
This week we've got former Derby County footballer Shane Nicholson joining us for our very first in studio, and you get your first view of Bino, which is what this podcast is named after because it's non-binary clearly. Shane, welcome to the podcast.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Thanks for joining us on a, well, it doesn't feel like a British summer's day, it feels like a fucking Spanish summer's day in here, doesn't it, to be fair?
It's far too hot.
It is far too hot. Typical Brits, moaning all summer that we've had rain, and now we're moaning it's too hot, and we've had about 3 days of sun.
The nights will be drawing in, lads, so let's enjoy it while it's here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
If we can.
Absolutely. We've got so much we want to speak to you about, obviously. I think quite a cool place would be to go back to the beginning, what got you into football in the first place. It's a sport that so many young kids in this country want to play, and very few make it to the professional level.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was that like growing up, getting into football, realising you're good and you could make a career out of it?
Yeah. Well, I got into football through kind of because of my family life. My home life wasn't great at home, so I needed an outlet.
Right.
And it was the fact that all the lads back then used to play football, so I wanted to join in, and it was something that I found out I was good at. So that kind of materialised from there. When you go to school, you become popular because you're very good at football, which is something I found very difficult. But how I got into it was because of the home life that I saw at home. There was a lot of domestic violence at home with my household, and that's how I fell into football. It was only by chance. My dad enjoyed football, he loved football, he was a Man United, George Best supporter, fan. So it was by chance that I fell into it, and if at the time it was horse racing, I'd have been horse racing. If it was boxing, I'd have done boxing. Whatever it was, it's just the fact that in the 80s, we all used to meet, or lads used to meet and play football in the park, and so I joined them one day and found that I had a lot of energy, and I became a natural at football, so it kind of materialised from there.
Because you made your debut at 16, didn't you?
Yeah.
Which is crazy young.
It is, yeah, but at 16, you don't think you're 16, do you? You think you're actually 25, 26, and my headspace, I certainly didn't act like a 16-year-old, actually, I was like a 12-year-old.
Right.
I was completely opposite. But for me, it was the perfect environment for me, football, because football back in the 80s when I made my debut, it was a massive drinking culture.
Right.
Huge drinking culture. And it was nothing like what it is today, that's for sure. So for me, because my understanding of a man was what I saw my father, how he was. And he was an alcoholic. And everything that comes with an alcoholic, he was. You know, he was a wife beater, he was a womanizer, he was everything. And so in my head, I want to be this man. And so I see what my dad does, and the words in my head ring, because for many, many years my mum used to say to me, don't end up like your dad, don't end up like your dad. And lo and behold, I ended up doing what my father did, which was not becoming a great person. You know, a lot of it's been publicised in papers and whatnot, national papers. So he wasn't a great person, he wasn't a great role model to have, that's for sure. And football then became, as I said to you before, it was an outlet, it was an escape for me. Because living the normal life, I couldn't deal with at all, because I was very inept at speaking, I had no social skills whatsoever, couldn't talk to people, and that's really how I started to drinking and taking drugs, because they kind of gave me this newfound confidence.
Right.
And it kind of materialised from there. So
how early did that come into your career then? Because you were at Lincoln City at 16, then you went to Derby. Were you already feeling like you were kind of getting involved in that culture even that young?
Yeah, I mean, I always felt as a kid I was a bit weird and I was a bit different to everybody else. I don't know for what reason, I always felt I was a bit of a loner, always. And I still do, in all honesty. Right. Even though I played football for 20 odd years, I'm still a loner. I still like my own company. Even though I've got a family and kids, I still love my own company. You know, I could go and live on my own on an island anywhere for the next 10 years. I really could do, and I have to be careful that isolation is what brings me problems. Right. So, but where did it all start? I mean, I noticed, my first drink was at 9 years old, 10 years old. I remember it was like it was yesterday. And we was at school, behind a wall, and I drank a drink out of a can of lager. And it was like I was in a dark room, and this light bulb just came off on my head. And I thought that was for everyone, you know, but blatantly it was just for me. So I was always just chasing that feeling from a drink. Right. Never the taste. I mean, you know, I never liked any taste of any alcohol or spirits. It was just the feeling that it gave me, and it took me away from reality.
Right.
So that's how I started.
Was that part of the reason you left Derby? Because it was West Brom, Sheffield United, Chesterfield. But would you feel like you were escaping something, leaving the club, go somewhere else? It'd be different when I go somewhere else. But
because certainly for the first 12 years of my career, when I was active as an alcoholic and a drug addict, your shelf life can be very short at a football club, because then they realise what a problem you are. I mean, on the pitch and on the training ground, I would give 110%. I've given awards for being the best trainers at all different clubs, but that wasn't not because I wanted to be the best. That was because, I was always scared of the sessions ending. I never wanted training to end, so I'd always stay out because I didn't want to go back to reality. Because I was rubbish at dealing with it. I couldn't deal with it. So for me, I just wanted to stay on the training ground and then become the coach's friend. And look at him, he's popular, he's good, he wants to keep fit. So that's how that started.
What was your favourite football moment? I've got a favourite football moment of yours, but
a lot will talk for Derby. Certainly the goal against Sheffield Wednesday, but I only scored 2 goals for Derby. My other goal was better.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was a half volley right foot from the edge of the box.
Right.
Which is I only stood on for 22 years in my playing career. Right. Very, very rarely kicked with it. But it was just the magnitude of the other game made it what it was. But yeah, I mean, the baseball ground was a special place. Just driving down there, and down the streets, and just an amazing place to play. It really was, great memories.
For people because a lot of people listen to this are out the country, and so the baseball ground is the football ground here in Derby, and it's not there anymore. It was all terraced houses when the pitch was, the fans were close to the pitch. It was like a
proper old British ground,
old British football ground, a real cauldron of hate or love, depending on who you were.
Well, I mean, you ask many away team players, they hate it. I mean, there's actually, if you ask a player nowadays and say, what ground do you not like playing at? Most of them will say they'll play anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a pantomime, really. But the pop side at Derby, and on a cold Tuesday night was not a pleasant place, because I mean, when you're taking a throw in, the fans can virtually grab hold of you and pull you into the crowd.
Yeah.
And there was quite vociferous and quite, they let you know, and that's for the home players as well. I mean, they actually let you know if you wasn't up to standards as well.
No. So there's a famous one there was a famous one against Fulham, wasn't there, in the 80s, when Derby needed a point to stay up, and the Fulham guys got the ball running down the wing, and a Derby fan jumped on the pitch and fly kicked him.
Wow.
You can see it on YouTube.
Wow.
I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
Just fly kicked the guy and injured him, and he went down, and then there was a big melee, and the ref just blew the final whistle, stopped the game. Derby stayed up.
I remember
unbelievable.
We were playing at Southend once. Martin Taylor was in goal, and it was at Roots Hall, and Martin Taylor was walking back to take the goal kick, and the wall behind the goal was only probably about 3 or 4 foot, and he actually fell over the wall. The fans pulled him in, and all you can see is his 2 big size 11 feet hanging over the wall, and it was like a beetle on the back. He just couldn't get up. He was trying to get up for ages. Bless him. But he was alright. We continued.
I love Roots Hall. Been there a few times.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lovely ground.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
Those old grounds are so much better than the soulless ones you've got now.
I think so. I mean, you look at, let's use Pride Park as an example.
Yeah, totally.
And I think, a lot was said last year about trying to drum up this atmosphere at the games and things like that, and they've tried everything. He's put flags out, they've got the young man saying the poem before the game, they've tried everything, but for me it's social media, it's phones.
Totally, yeah.
People
I agree.
People are in grounds and they're on their phones now, and so, they're not cheering and shouting and being vociferous, because most people on the phone, and I'm one of them. I've done it myself, so I understand why it's like that.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of grounds still. I mean, the noisiest grounds I've played at, I'd have to say would have been, maybe not now, but Birmingham City, Stoke and Portsmouth were the 3 noisiest grounds that I've played at.
Yeah, Portsmouth used to be a great
still pretty
atmosphere.
noisy now, I think.
Yeah, incredible.
But I find it's the same with music. Like if you used to go to a gig and people would be jumping around and dancing and getting into the vibe and whatever, now they just stand holding a mobile phone, filming it.
Do you know what's annoying? Is I was literally going to say the same thing.
Well,
I literally was, because I remember I took Erin niece to watch Ellie Goulding, and she was going on about how once upon a time everyone just stood there with lighters. Now they just stood there with their phones filming it. No one's singing, no one's dancing.
No
it's like dead quiet in here.
I always think with those videos, like, when are you watching that?
Yeah.
When do you watch it back? Because you could watch it live, but you're watching it through your screen. It's just.
What's worse? Is it worse that they're videoing somebody else, or worse that they're videoing themselves?
Yeah, there's that as well.
I thought 99% of the time the videoing
that's true.
themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we've become quite a narcissistic culture, haven't we?
We have.
100% we have.
Yeah.
100%.
Going back to football, what do you think are the main differences from then to now? Let you get a word in edgeways, Jay.
Within the game, or what do you mean by the style of the game, or just in the whole
Either,
thing in
to be
general?
honest, because what I was thinking is in terms of the support for footballers then,
Yeah.
the support for footballers now. A lot of stuff that I see, if a footballer's got an issue, it's very much a case of, well, he's on 100 grand a week, he should grow up and get on with it. And it's like, well, yeah, mental health doesn't really work like that. And I just wondered what the main difference is.
Well, because £100,000 makes you immune to anyone's.
Well, that's it, isn't
it? Yeah. Because it doesn't, doesn't it?
Well, do you think the money has had an effect on that? Whereas back in the day, footballers were seen as real people, salaries weren't that much more than someone would necessarily get. And now, because the money's so big, it's almost like they're not treated like humans.
Money certainly has had a big part to play in it, and it's changed the way football goes now, because I think players have an awful lot of power. But going back to your question, I think that the sooner players realise that they're a commodity, they are just a piece of meat, rather than have this ego, which they teach you to have actually as a footballer. You're taught to be very selfish as a footballer. Even though it's a team game, you're taught to be very selfish. But you're actually just a piece of meat. And I think as a player, as a young player, the sooner you can realise that's all you are, and you have a sell by date, you'll have a better career. Because you just get used. Football clubs just use you. That's all they do. Use you. In my honest opinion, it's the modern day slavery sport, is because, as we know, it's taking people's minds away from what's really happening in the world, and I understand all that. But because I detest what's going on in the game so much now, I've become an agent, a football agent, because I read what football agents take away from players, take away from football clubs, and I think it's astronomical. I think it's just completely bonkers.
Yeah.
Completely bonkers. So
because they don't give anything to the game.
What do they give?
It's like a
they
footballer.
cause problems.
Yeah, but a footballer on silly money is at least playing football, so he's being part of the game, isn't he, or she? But
so what do they give?
Yeah, exactly.
What service do they give? Do you know what I mean? So, and going back to a good question again, for the younger players, if you look at every football club, I think Derby's is in probably one of the top 10 in Europe for their facilities, grounds. It's that good. It's incredible. Everything is geared up to make the commodity better,
right?
Physically, but mentally and spiritually to a degree, there's nothing there,
really,
in my opinion.
Right.
So it's right. Let's get this piece of meat to the best of its ability, and let's try and make it worth the most while it's with us, and then get rid of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So it's more like a racehorse then.
Yeah, or we use it, and then if it's no good, then we just toss it aside, and that's what they do. That's what they do. But as footballers, you think, oh well, I'm worth this, I'm worth that, but it's just absolute nonsense. It's nonsense. Yeah. So I mean, to help footballers, it might seem that there's an awful lot out there, and there is, but it's the same old thing with football. You have to. It seems like the footballers seem to have to wait until they've made that mistake before they get help, and that's down to the footballer themselves. They have to analyse themselves, which they don't do as well either. But so there's still a lot more they could do. With the drug testing, with the mental health, all sorts. There's so much more they can do, in my opinion.
Yeah, and especially I think if you've got. I think to me now. I'm 37. I have to think about that now.
Take a couple of numbers off.
Yeah, but if you gave me 100 grand a week now, even at 37, with my life experience, I like to think I'm quite a clued up bloke. I know that I would mess up and do things and act in certain ways and make mistakes and blow it up the wall on something that was ridiculous. And I think about me at 17.
Yeah.
So I mean, this lad
Hudson Odoi just signed 100 grand a week.
How old is he?
18. 5 year
18.
deal.
It's
50 million deal.
That's insane. I dread to think what I'd have done with 100 grand a week at 17, 18.
Well, you look at Wayne Rooney. People talk about him a lot. He's come from Toxteth Estate. A young kid, council estate. All of a sudden, he's gone from being on 5 grand a week to he was on something like 80 or 90 grand on his first contract at Man United. Just a ridiculous amount. And because of the social media platform that people have nowadays, anyway, you can't go anywhere.
No.
So football really is a goldfish bowl. So they have a price to pay. Forget what money they earn, because it's beautiful. And people might say, well, how can you be a slave if you're being paid £150,000 a week or whatever? But you talk to him after his career, he can't go out and do what he wants to do.
No.
He's had to go to America. you're having photos taken, you're having doing this, you're doing that, and one person that you don't have the autograph with or photograph taken, this person's, let's say Frank Lampard, what a bad person he is because he's allowed a bad day.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He's allowed a bad day, but
yeah,
because these guys earn vast amounts of money, it seems that they're at the disposal of the public, and the media.
Sorry.
Go on, you can. I keep butting in.
I think that comes down to a misunderstanding of life in general and thinking that money solves all your problems. And someone having 100 grand a week, 200 grand a week, whatever, means they don't suffer with the same problems that an everyday bloke suffers with, like you're saying, having a bad day, being a bit down, maybe having a bit of anxiety. Money doesn't solve those sorts of things.
I totally agree.
Think
What it does, it just gives you more choices.
It does. That's literally all it does.
That's what it gives you more choices. But I understand why Joe Public would say, well, I'd like to try that. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would, absolutely.
You're getting paid to do something that we love, that we enjoy. I always found it as a hobby, actually. If I'm completely honest, it was just a hobby for me. Yeah, I never saw it as a job. I just didn't see it as a job at all. Certainly it wasn't my calling, but I thoroughly enjoyed my career, even though I went through what I went through. I had some of the best times, some of the worst times as well. Some of the worst times of my life, but some of the best times that made me what I am today. Definitely.
Yeah, well, you have a career after football, and I think in terms of coaching and stuff, and I think that says a lot about you, or at least how people perceive you. Because when you were playing and you were making these mistakes and whatever, it would have been very easy to have just gone waste of space. Next, no, be a troublemaker. Don't want him working with young players.
Yeah.
But obviously, people, particularly at Chesterfield at the beginning, they were like, no, you've got something about him.
Yeah.
And you can give some advice and stuff like that, which is, I always think that's better.
I think it is. I just wanted to give something back.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I went through what I went through to just keep it to myself and then not share it with people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because all these young kids, we just talked about a couple of players that the vast amounts of money that they're earning, they need help.
Yeah, totally.
They need help, but it's getting into the football clubs though, because the football clubs are so closed off. They don't want to let outsiders in.
Right.
It's very difficult, very, very difficult. But I just think they need help. But it's to get into clubs like Chelsea, Man United, and clubs like that. They don't want the brand ruining. And if someone like me got in there and was found to be heard to be helping a player, and then that got out to the press, imagine what that would do. Oh, Chelsea's got a problem with such and such, and where just be open, be transparent. If you have got a problem, what is wrong with that?
Exactly.
We're human beings, and they're not. I listened to a little bit what Gareth Bale's saying. He feels like he's a robot at the minute. I totally understand that, but people will go straight away. What is on 600 grand a week? And what?
Yeah.
What does that matter?
But that then comes back to the piece of meat thing that you were saying.
Yeah. Of course it does.
I mean, I remember Russell Brand. I don't normally agree with a hell of a lot of stuff Russell Brand said, but when he was talking about the government were putting these people in place to do stuff with drugs and helping kids with drugs, and the people they were putting in were basically politicians. And Russell Brand was saying, well, why aren't you getting someone like me, someone who's got a history of drug dependency and stuff,
and who's turned their life around,
his life around. Yeah, so very much like yourself. And if I was Tottenham or Man United or whoever and had a problem with it, I'd maybe I'm being naive, but I'd want everyone to know that this was happening at our club.
Yeah.
Because this is a club that you can come to, you can play for us, and if you have a problem, we'll help you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree, but it is completely the opposite, as I said, because it's the brand.
Yeah, everything's the brand, isn't it?
We've got to protect the brand, and and the FA do a great job of that. In all honesty.
Or what, of hiding it?
I think so. Yeah, of protecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing you can do if you're trying to help someone, or or you need help, is have someone talk down to you. Which, if you've got a politician talking to you about drugs, they're talking about you. Fairness, half of them aren't, to be fair, aren't they? It's not more coke than anyone. but talking down to you rather than someone like if you go in talking on their level. The same problems that they're going through, you've been through, and you've come over. That's going to give so much more to somebody than.
If you look how the modern day manager of football teams now has changed. If you look at the likes of Pep Guardiola, Pochettino. When I played, there was always a distinct gap between the playing staff and the players. Always a massive gap. But now if you look at managers, Frank Lampard's a prime example, the relationship they have with players is much closer. Much closer. I suppose you become more like a father figure.
Right.
And that's what you want. But back when I was playing, it was like going to see the school teacher. You saw them as authority, and no. And anyone that doesn't like authority, you're going to back off, or you're going to if you get pushed into a corner, you're going to fight against it.
Yeah.
And that's what I always did, because they always deem themselves to be up there and you down here. But now I just see it as completely different. I watch Pep and I listen to Pep and Pochettino, again, another prime example. I think he's incredible. And the relationship he has with his players. You know, how does Pochettino keep the likes of Harry Kane and players out at his football club without spending a penny for 16, 18 months? How does he do that? Because Harry Kane's a world-class centre forward, world-class. But Pochettino's managed to keep him at the football club. And some might say, well, he's £150 a week. Well, he can probably go to Barcelona and £350 a week.
Yeah, easy.
But Pochettino's managed to keep him at Tottenham. And he's probably had to tell him as well, listen, we're not going to buy anyone for over a year.
Yeah.
But please, just stay with us. So, you know, that as well.
Well, it's that whole thing of wanting to play for a manager, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wanting to, I suppose you use the example of a father figure. You want to impress and make your father proud to an extent, don't you? So he probably wants to go out there and win a trophy for him.
Yeah.
The same with all those young players that he's brought through. Same with Klopp at Liverpool. A massive fan of him for the same kind of reasons.
Absolutely spot on. Klopp, what a hero.
I think the game's changed, isn't it? In the fact that those, like you were saying, those authoritative people, they don't work anymore. And I think that's why Ferguson was so successful, because he was that.
He evolved.
But he evolved, didn't he? And he adapted, and he went from this nasty, horrible man, who I would have, if I was a footballer, no chance would I have gone to Manchester United in the early days, because he'd just be horrible to me. I couldn't cope with that. To the lad that was basically Ronaldo's dad for about 4 years, you know.
But do you not think that is something to do with, because if you look at, I think now, you look at the generation of footballers now, I think they are mentally weaker. I think they are literally mentally weaker, and I say that because if you look at the generations now, they have everything at their disposal. Everything they want, they get. Look at kids now, 8 years old, they're given a Derby County strip.
Yeah.
They're in an academy. You know, look at 10-year-olds, they have mobile phones, they have everything. 14-year-olds got mobile phones, they can virtually buy anything on a mobile phone they want to buy on the Never Never. So what do they understand about the value of money?
No,
nothing really.
No.
So they've got everything. Everything they want, they have. And I just think that, and I've seen it. I've seen how managers have had to change over the years because players can't be shouted at. Because if you shout at them, you lose them. But when I was in a change room, I've seen Arthur Cox, I've seen Roy McFarland and people like that just hammer me. Hammer me. Neil Warnock, hammer me. Absolutely nail me. I mean, I remember playing Sheffield United, we played a friendly game at Plymouth, my first ever game. And it was a friendly there, and I took a corner. And I put a corner and I didn't sprint back. Well, I got in at half time and Neil Warnock absolutely roasted me and took me off. Just took me for my first ever game, embarrassed me to the hill. Never did it again, ever. Never. But I do literally think that the players now, they are much, much weaker mentally.
I think people in general are mentally weaker.
I agree.
I think that's what social media's not helped with that, is it? You just see so much abuse on it. I think people are just weaker in general. They get offended easier. Someone shouts at me, you're just back into a corner, rather than the attitude of fuck you, I'm going to show you that I'm going to do that again, you're going to talk to me like that again. That's the kind of old attitude that you need, to be fair, to be successful in sport.
I think it'd be interesting to roll forward maybe 10, 15 years from now. You know, when these weaker footballers that have had everything a moon on a stick, when they're at their retirement age, because the percentage of pundits, the percentage of coaches and managers and whatever is so minuscule that the rest of them are just going to disappear into the abyss. If they're mentally weak, can you imagine that? You know, that I remember listening to an interview with Wayne Bridge, and he was saying when he retired, and he's a pretty sharp, clued up bloke, and he was saying for days he didn't really know what to do, because he didn't know what to eat, because he wasn't being told it was eaten that day.
I completely understand that. Completely understand that. In fact, I saw a piece in the paper today about Chris Kirkland,
right,
who's been struggling with mental illness, and he's found himself back in the clinic again as well.
Really?
So, you know, but people, I don't think footballers want sympathy. That's the last thing they want, because the first thing people mention is the money that they earn. But you know, it's a double-edged sword, that's for sure. You know, there's an awful lot of nice things that you can do, but playing at the top level, certainly nowadays, and social media. I mean, if I was a player now, I wouldn't be on social media.
No chance.
I would leave it.
Could you imagine searching your name after a bad game?
Oh,
Would be worth it.
I mean, I because of my connection with Derby, I listened to some of the stuff about Richard Keogh. I mean, God, we all have our own favourite players at football clubs, and we all give, you know, but some of it is beyond. It's just awful.
You probably wrote half of it.
Oh, no, it is
never.
though.
I'm not a fan of Keogh, but when his wife was abused and stuff, and that stuff was insane.
That's what I'm on about.
Yeah.
Not old Keogh's this.
Yeah.
I'm on about that.
Yeah, that stuff was vile.
Stuff. I mean, good grief. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that happens a lot. I think like Bryson's the same. Obviously, Bryson was trained a lot at the gym that we're at, and the stick he used to get and stuff. I mean, it must be horrible to be their mum or their dad or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, not nice at all. But and as well, if you know them, which I do, both of them, I couldn't meet a nicer guy than Richard Keogh. And I've only got to meet him the last few years, 3 or 4 years. And everyone I speak to, they say, "Oh, we saw Richard Keogh in town. He stopped at his photo, this and that." And I thought, wow. Every person I speak to says good things. And Bryson, I mean, he can't be a nicer person ever. I mean, every time he comes down the gym, and he's like just.
Yeah, just nice as Bryce.
Every time you ask for a shirt sign, he'll get it done, he'll do this, that. Just a lovely guy.
And no one works harder on a pitch either. No one works harder on a pitch than them two, to be fair, with a Derby shirt on.
No, they don't.
Well, the stats regarding Richard Keogh last season.
I thought last season did very well last season.
He played 64 games in total last season.
I thought he did very well last season.
Ridiculous amount.
I'll always give credit where it's due. For me, I'm not a huge fan of Richard Keogh. I thought he did well last season.
Because why?
Because I always think everything's quite desperate. You know, in terms of last minute challenges and stuff like that, instead of just reading the game a little bit and maybe just stepping off.
Yeah.
Because he's quite rabbit in headlights, and I think Derby need that calming influence, and I think that's where Tomori helped him last season, because for a young lad he was just calm and cool and collected. Yeah, anyone listening in America is going, I don't know what you're on about.
Yeah.
They're footballers.
Tomori's excellent.
Tomori, I mean, his first few games was a little bit shaky.
Yeah.
A little bit shaky, which is to be because he's a young man as well.
Yeah.
Because he's playing with new teammates, but. Going to Richard Keogh, you won't get a centre half in this league, the Championship, that plays like he does. And why I like him and why I love him is because if he makes a mistake, 99% of players will then heads will drop and they won't continue to try and do what he does. But he doesn't stop. He still tries to get the ball, and he's going to make mistakes because of the way he plays. But so many of the times when he runs out with the ball, he'll play a ball, and because it's Richard Keogh, it's just playing a ball. But he's actually running at pace with the ball, with the expectancy of players to run towards him, and he's still got that balance and everything to play it. It only looks like a 12-yard ball, but it's a great skill. It's a great skill to have and to do, and I think he has been immense for Derby. I do. I really do.
Put Marriott in for that winner at Leeds, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
absolutely ballistic.
1-2 that was.
Absolutely ballistic. We did, didn't we? In the
I wonder. What
I mean, that was probably the best game I've ever been involved in. The best. The feeling from that game was. That was really our playoff final.
Yeah, just beating Leeds as Derby is amazing anyway, but to do it in that manner when you've basically been beaten for 3/4 of the game, and then
and 2 games in the league, been beaten twice.
Yeah,
just the one that mattered turned up.
Yeah.
Where do you, to go back away from Derby and Richard Keogh, where do you see football going in terms of next 10, 15 years? TV money. How that would change the game, or is it a bubble that's just going to go bang?
Is it sustainable? I mean, I remember listening to Rodney Marsh saying one day on Gillette Soccer Saturday that there'll be a player. Imagine when there'll be a player on $100 a week, and he was saying it as if like we're going to land on the moon or something like that.
Yeah.
People are earning $600 a week now.
Well, Bale could be by the end of the week £1 million a week, £1 million grand a week, £1 million
a week, I like that. $1 million. I mean, that's. I don't blame him, by the way.
I don't
blame him by any stretch of the imagination. I understand completely why he would go there as well, because I think that he suffers a little bit mentally as well, on the mental side of things. Gareth Bale has, and at 31 years old, I think, he's won everything. He has won everything, but I don't think he's won the World Cup, of course, playing with Wales. But
he's never going to.
No, he isn't going to. But over there, he's won an awful lot. So. Take your money and go and enjoy life for a little while.
Yeah.
If you can enjoy it over in
China, with the pressure off a little bit. Like I saw you saying that.
We were having this chat, weren't we, this morning, that you take it. Like you said earlier, football clubs are no loyalty to you now, so just take the money.
Well, they don't want him anyway. If someone didn't want me and someone wanted to pay me almost twice as much, I'd go, all right, see you later then.
Yeah, goodbye. Yeah, goodbye. But it's just the way that it happens at football clubs nowadays. So, it's not. You hear rumours, and it doesn't sound an awful lot, but for a player like that, who was probably their most expensive player at one stage, or he was, and he's training with 23s or whatever, and I saw a clip yesterday that he was made to referee some training session or something like that, and then they interviewed Zinedine Zidane, and he was saying, well, Gareth didn't play tonight because he told us he didn't want to play. Oh, right. Well, you know, he's probably fell out with him probably because he was told to referee in some, you know, in training. And you are made to do some stupid things. I mean, Warnock was probably one of the best man managers I've ever known, but if you're on the wrong side of him, he was brutal.
Yeah.
I've seen him at half time come off and say to players, David Kelly, remember David Kelly used to play for Wolves and Walsall, good centre for Sheffield United.
Right.
Ned, your career's over, son. Have a shower, that's it, you're done. Half time of a game. That's it, your career's done. I mean, good grief, how brutal is that?
Yeah.
Just told him his career was over there and then, Neil Warnock. Absolutely brutal.
So what did you do? Just sell him? Done?
It became his assistant manager. Became his assistant manager, and did he go with Billy Davis, didn't he? Yeah.
That Ned Kelly.
Yeah,
he
Ned,
came to
yeah.
Derby.
Yeah.
He was assistant here for a bit. Yeah.
Ned, your career's over, son. Your legs are gone. Get your boots off. Get in the shower.
There's some great Warnock clips on YouTube, isn't there?
Right. Shall I tell you about a story about Warnock?
Yeah, go on.
We played Burnley. It's when Gazza was playing for Burnley, and we started the game. We went out. They was beating us 2-1. We came in at half time, and there was always this rumour, this myth that at Sheffield United, by mine, there was this little hole where the assistant manager would sit and listen to the team talk to the opposing team, and I thought it can't be true. Anyway, we came in at half time, getting beat 2-1. Warnock's marching around the changing rooms. He gets Kevin Blackwell, the assistant manager, Blackie, sends him out like that. And we're like, where's he gone? And the way he's gone out, anyway, the bell goes, Warnock has his talk, the bell goes, right, lads, we're off out. All lining up to go outside. And just before we go out, Kevin Blackwell gets thrown out this door. He's got a massive black eye. Sam Turner was the manager, and I think his name was Sam Ellis as well. They found him in this little hole listening to their team talk, smashed him, and sent him out this door. So it was true. The myth was, it wasn't a myth, it was actually true. He had a little cupboard, and he would do anything to win a game.
Yeah.
Or not. Anything just to give him that extra 5 or 10%, mate, he would do. Hilarious.
What's funny is I remember him actually really going off on one about Bielsa
And watching the
spying
training,
on
yeah.
Derby.
Oh,
The irony of it.
oh God.
Well,
I mean, I've only told you off.
Right.
Dear
He was on
me.
TalkSport saying it was a disgrace. And you're like, hang on. Now I know he had spies in the wall.
Well, I remember when there was a manager, I can't remember what his name was, he used to put sand in the corners of pitches. So because he played long balls, so then the ball wouldn't
Would
run out
slow
to
up,
play.
yeah.
Slow it down, yeah. They used to pee in your cups of tea at half time to not give you no hot water. Just on board. Warnock was king of the mind games. King of the mind games. Not that he peed in your tea, by the way.
So when I said how's the game different now? So
The worst thing I've ever seen when we got a tour of Old Trafford was that the magnetic board in the away dressing room isn't magnetic. That's as bad as it gets now. You have to bring your own.
Well, that must be a real hardship for him. I do wonder with the TV money though. For me, I think there's one more big payday, and that's when your Amazons and your streaming sites take
Facebook
over.
are talking about
Yeah.
getting involved. Aren't
Yeah, I
they?
think
really?
they'll be who is?
Facebook as well. Are talking about
we're
getting
involved in everything.
Wow.
But when the next but then where'd you go from that?
Yeah.
There's nowhere above that.
Nowhere above that.
It was BT coming in, wasn't it, that's given it that bump again from Sky in the last decade, and then like you say, once those big boys get on again,
Yeah.
then
Sky were the big one though, because I remember I think ITV had the rights and it cost them about £5 million, and then I think then they tender the rights they used to tender the rights every 3 years.
it's every 5 now, isn't it?
And it's what?
It's every 5 now, isn't it?
Oh, was it?
I think now. Yeah.
Well, maybe it might have been 5 then, but yeah, ITV was say 5 million. I think it was about 5.5 million, and then Sky came in. So this is about 92, 93, and it was like 380 million is what they paid, and it's like how's that happened?
Yeah.
And that's
Just keep going.
So
innit?
who's
Just
got the
insane.
Champions League games at the moment? Who?
BT.
ITV.
BT.
Oh,
So
BT had them last year.
They
Yeah.
paid 1.2 billion
Jesus
for
wept
that Champions League game. 1.2 billion.
for one competition.
I don't get how
No,
they make.
league.
I don't get how they make any money out of that, because I've got BT Internet and you have BT Sport for the first year.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that year, you have to pay for it now. And every time I've done that, I've said I'll leave. Then they give me it free. I've had it 4 years for free now, so they're not getting any money out of me. And how many other people are doing that?
Yeah.
No,
So how are they?
advertising. all
Yeah, I
advertising.
guess so. I guess
Yes,
so.
it is. Yeah.
They'll go. This many people are watching this game, and also pubs. What pubs pay for BT Sports and Sky is absolutely astronomical. And if you get caught, because our mate that runs the Simeon Arms on the Isle of Wight, Jamie, who owned it before him, he just thought, I ain't paying that because that's just mad. My pub's not big enough to warrant that kind of money. It's thousands of pounds a month.
Is it really?
Yeah, thousands. I mean, it was a month. It was thousands then.
You're talking 5 or 6 years ago.
And the rest.
Not longer.
So he went, do you know what, sod it, I'll just wire it down from upstairs because I've got Sky in my house. So he wired it down, and they send little people out every now and then, and someone came out, and obviously there's not a beer glass in the corner, and that's why the beer glass is there. When you go to the pub, there'll be a beer glass in the bottom right corner. And the fines, I mean, I don't know what his fine was, but he had a few quid fortunately, but nearly did him.
Wow.
Yeah. So they make all the money off that.
Yeah, but it's got to end at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
It isn't.
But I think one more payday, and then I think when that payday stopped, clubs are still going to be wanting to outdo each other, and they're still going to be wanting to pay more. Well, I'll come to you, but you have to pay me more.
Yeah.
And so then that's when you're going to find clubs going bankrupt and disappearing, and the only people that affects is the fans.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look at Bolton at the moment. I mean, Bolton are going through.
But the players would all just leave and go to other clubs and carry on.
Yep.
It's the fans that have lost the football club.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You know, and it's not like they're going to go, oh, I've got to start following Burnley then, because it doesn't work like that. Does it?
Well, it certainly wouldn't do with the football fan either, would it? Because they're so territorial, aren't they? I mean,
Yeah.
I had trouble understanding a football fan, if I'm completely honest, because
Right.
being a player, I really did, until I'd stopped playing, and then you're actually involved in the crowd more. Then, but so I understand it a little bit more now. But going back to what you just said, I mean, can you imagine telling a Bolton fan now we're going to support Burnley?
Yeah.
Good grief.
No chance.
Just wouldn't happen, would it?
But
No.
it's caveman. It's in our DNA.
Yeah,
that
it is.
tribal
Yeah,
thing, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's territorial for certain. I mean, some of the comments you hear and read, and I mean, dear me.
Oh, yeah.
laughable.
Yeah.
It's tribal, isn't it? It is literally going back to.
I've followed Derby
to
for
tribal.
years when I lived on the Isle of Wight, and I normally went to away games in the south or London. I'd sort of go Reading, Watford, and then I was kind of my cut off until I had friends here, and then I'd come up to Derby, and then I ended up obviously moving there. And you just walk into pubs in different places. Naive little idiot me, I just keep my Derby shirt on, and all other Derby fans have seen me coming in, and they go, "Yeah, my man will lend you a jacket. Just put that on, you know, because you get your head kicked in. You're like, well, I'm just stood in a t-shirt. I've not said anything to anyone.
Yeah,
that's not the point. You're not the right tribal colour,
No,
so
not
they'll
in
do
it.
you in.
But think about it, it's only like the Bloods and the Crips, isn't it? Just wearing your colours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Going in different postcodes and things like that. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
you know, young you, why would you think that? Do you know what I mean? Just
Exactly,
because
that's
you're wearing my daughter's at uni at Nottingham, and she's got all the old retro Derby tops. And my missus going, oh, you can't wear them, man. Nottingham, you can't wear them. Come on, Joe. She's a young girl. Do you know what I mean? She's not in some gang or something like that. She's just supporting a football team. I mean, why would she think that anyone's gonna be abusive to her just because she's wearing a certain coloured top? But they would.
Yeah, they would.
They
Yeah,
would,
yeah. I mean, for me, like I love the banter side of it. So I remember walking into one place and I had a Derby shirt on in Portsmouth actually, and this fella just went, "Is it a fancy dress?" Like, little bits of banter like that, like, you know, you're just taking the mick, but I don't feel threatened by it. It's just we're just having a bit of a joke, and that's fine.
Some people take it so seriously.
They take it so
Well,
seriously.
when I signed here, because I'm obviously from Newark in Nottingham, all my friends are Forest fans. This for 2 years didn't speak to me. For 2 years. Again, that goes back to I can't understand football fans.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I thought
for
we're
2
mates.
years.
Yeah.
But what makes no sense to me with that is the most obsessive, insane football fans or sport fans generally are in America, in North America. I mean, they literally, like, they would sell their child if their team can win a Super Bowl.
Really, yeah.
But they all sit next to each other and have a pint and they don't fight.
It's the second time you said exactly what I was going to say. Just
Really?
before I said it.
Sorry, mate.
It's all right.
So what does
I
that
think
say?
alike.
But it's weird, isn't it? Because I think that America is like USA sport, woohoo!
When we went to
But they
watch,
just sit next to each other, not bothered.
when we went to watch the Rangers against the New Jersey Devils, ice hockey.
Big
Yeah,
rival. That's like
there was-
Derby Forest. That.
There was a couple, and one was a Rangers fan, one was a Devils fan. The lad was a Devils fan, and when Rangers went 4-2 up, she literally just got up and screamed in his face. It's like,
Really?
you're going
But
to row
everyone-
later.
everyone was
So
laughing.
is that
brilliant.
alcohol at those games?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand in the crowd as well with a
Oh,
pint.
really?
$10 a pint.
And the rest.
Oh.
But you, yes, well, it is more, a lot more than that. But,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
but that doesn't make sense to me.
I know they're the
Do you
correct.
know what I mean? Because they're so obsessive and, like I say, USA. But
Yeah.
they just get on at and it'd be
So-
lovely if we could do that at football.
Yeah, but
I'd
for
love
so
that.
long, England had this reputation, didn't they, of football hooliganism. It really kind of stemmed from it, didn't it? Really?
Yeah. Eastern
Yeah.
Europe have kind of taken over from us in that respect now.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
But on their
ultras.
because you're wearing a Sparta shirt. When we go to Sparta
yeah.
games, which we do a couple of times a year, they're ultra flags. So they're all masked and all that. They've all got English flags on them.
Really?
Because it's where hooligans start.
Start.
Sort of
Yeah.
thing, yeah. It's very odd.
Birthplace. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something to be proud of, the way.
No, exactly. But it comes in a time when the economy was on its backside. And I do wonder if we do hit this another recession that people keep talking about, if we're going to go back to that time.
It's an outlet for some
It is an
people,
outlet,
isn't it?
yeah.
Well, if we hit a recession, you'll see civil unrest, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
whatever you want to say, it's footballism, whatever, there'll be civil unrest either way.
Yeah.
I don't see the world becoming a better place very quickly.
No, I don't.
It's only going to get worse, that's for sure.
Yeah. I remember talking to someone years ago and they were talking about an analogy. It was one of Dad's friends and he was saying that he thinks it's like it'll be like a plate. So if you let a plate go like that on a table, it does that for a bit,
Yeah.
and then before it stops and calms, it goes fucking mental. doesn't
Yeah,
it? And
yeah,
he
that's
said
right, yeah.
That's what I think will happen. It'll be like that, and I think you're probably
What a
right.
great analogy.
Yeah.
that
Who
makes
says that? Who used that analogy?
I'm sure it was one of Dad's
Oh,
mates.
that's
It might have been
great.
Dad actually.
Yeah, that's
Dad's
very
probably
good.
listening
I
to
like
this
that.
thinking,
I'm
not bad, it was
I'm
me.
pitching it.
Yeah, but it's true. I think that's
Yeah.
It is.
about right. It will just go crazy for a bit, and then hopefully a new beginning.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll do us. We've rambled on for ages.
Yeah.
We've taken a lot of your time.
That's no problem, mate.
Yeah,
Been very
it's
enjoyable.
been wicked having
It's
you.
been very warm, but it's been very enjoyable.
Yeah, it is very hot. Yeah,
I was going to sign off with one more question.
go on
That's
then.
all
No,
right.
yeah,
It's gonna
absolutely.
be-
I've sort of taken
if you
over
had
from you all
if
the
you
whole
had
time.
if you had 2 minutes with a young player, what would be the biggest bit of advice you'd give a 15-year-old player now at a professional club?
Oh, what a great question. A 15-year-old player.
Well done, Jay.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would ask him, and I would tell him to be as transparent as he can. Never be scared to ask for help. Never ever be scared to ask for help. Again, it goes back to when I was a kid and I saw the staff and everyone else. I always saw them as authority, so I never wanted to go to them. And nowadays, I do think that football clubs, they have welfare officers and people like that in the football clubs. They should have. And this isn't blowing my own trumpet. They should have people like me in. They really should, because I've been through it and I've come through it, and there isn't enough that have done that to go back into football clubs, and I need to be there to be guiding them through. So what do they need to do? They just need to be transparent. Footballers, if football clubs, and this is going away from your point, but I'll come back to it. Football clubs really need to see that to get players playing at their best, right? To get playing at their very best, they need to be mentally, physically, and spiritually 100%. But when they've got problems like they've got, and they haven't got the right people in to speak to these guys, they're not going to get 100%. So their commodity will not grow. So football clubs need to see that having someone in will make that commodity grow. So it helps. Everyone's a winner. The young player goes in happy every single day. His stack grows as well. He becomes worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a couple of, I don't want to mention names, but there's a player at Derby that I was meeting and speaking to, a great lad. And he actually got sold, so you probably guess who he is. But I was helping him, a lovely kid, didn't have any problems really, just wanted to meet and have a chat. And all it was just talking, because you never know what home life these kids have got.
Yeah.
Just because they're young lad, everyone thinks, well, their home life's great, but your home life might be great, but there might be things that you don't want to go back and talk to your mum and dad about, or certainly when you're 16, 17,
totally.
18 years old, anyway. You want to speak to someone who's just going to sit there and just kind of be cool and just listen, and that's all it's about, just listening.
Yeah.
So it's fine. For a 15-year-old kid, it's very difficult because they're very impressionable, and the people that impress them are the first team footballers. But generally, the first team footballers are as they're as deep rooted in the problem as they
anyone.
can be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's more. There's gambling going on. There's all sorts going on in football clubs. Because as professional athletes, there's a fine line between this addictive personality and being a professional. Do you know what I mean? So there's so much going on. So as a 15-year-old kid, what would I say? I'd say be transparent and don't be scared to ask questions. Just don't be scared to ask for help. And that goes to that's just the older players as well. We think because we're men, we can't talk. We can't talk, and I had a problem for years and years. I was a mute. Didn't know how to talk, couldn't talk. My social skills were awful. Now I get paid at a football club to talk. And I knew I had to overcome my fear. I overcame it when I was 38. And I knew I did my first talk, I went to speak, and I was sick 3 times. I went to the next talk, I was sick again, and I kept doing it because I'm stubborn. And I thought, I've got to be, sure I'm going to do one talk soon, I'm not sick. And about the 4th or 5th one, I wasn't sick, and then continued, and now I'm still doing it. So it's about overcoming your fears as well. So for 15-year-olds, just don't be impressionable. Just don't be scared to ask for help. That's all I can say.
Perfect. That's an amazing way to end.
Lovely.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem. It's been an
Thank you very
absolute
much.
pleasure, guys. Pleasure.
Cool. Right, you've been listening to the Non-Binary Elephant podcast. I've been Jamie Icke.
I've been Gareth Icke.
We will see you very soon.
See you later.
Bye.